Two friends are about to embark on the most thrilling and intense adventure of their lives as they face the challenge of climbing a towering steel tower. However, what starts as an exhilarating experience quickly turns into their worst nightmare when they find themselves trapped at the top of the structure. If, like me, you suffer from vertigo, the scenes from this movie will send shivers down your spine and evoke a profound sense of fear. The film begins with three thrill seekers: Becky, her husband Dan, and her best friend Hunter, as they scale a massive rock wall. During the ascent, Becky must leap across to Dan, who successfully catches her. As Dan continues to climb, he is suddenly startled by a bat emerging from a crevice, causing him to lose his grip. Despite his desperate attempt to regain his footing, Dan's harness fails, and he tragically plummets to his death. Nearly a year later, Becky struggles with alcoholism and has been unable to move past her husband's death. She has also distanced herself from her father, James, after he suggested that she should stop grieving for Dan, as he might not have been the person she believed him to be. He also implied that Dan wouldn't have grieved as much if the roles were reversed. One night, after leaving a bar, Becky finds herself in a dark place, contemplating ending her life through an overdose. However, just in the nick of time, she receives a call from Hunter. Hunter shows up at Becky's place, providing comfort and encouragement. While proposing they try to scale a massive TV tower that stands at 2,000 feet tall. Initially hesitant, Becky is unsure about climbing again after losing Dan. Hunter decides to stay with her overnight to ensure her well-being and help her regain the courage to face life's challenges. Becky experiences a terrifying nightmare in which Dan lies next to her in bed, lifeless and covered in blood. Upon waking, she shares with Hunter a memory of Dan's words about not being afraid to live. Encouraged by this, she agrees to accompany Hunter to the tower. Hunter drives them to an area near the tower. Along the way, they stop at a diner for a meal. While there, Hunter ingeniously uses a lamp as an outlet to charge Becky's phone. Afterward, they spend the night at a motel to rest before their challenging climb. The next day, the women drive towards the tower but are forced to stop at the gate, which means they have to walk the rest of the way. On their journey, they encounter vultures preying on a barely alive coyote. The girls quickly shoo the vultures away to rescue the animal. Upon reaching the tower, Becky's nerves nearly get the best of her, but Hunter encourages her to press on. They begin their ascent and pause at 1,000 feet to take in the breathtaking view. Hunter remarks that they've now surpassed the height of the Eiffel Tower. As they continue upward, they face a daunting challenge, climbing another 200 feet on a rusted, rickety exterior ladder. During their climb, several bolts come loose as Hunter playfully messes around. Despite the obstacles, they eventually reach the summit and marvel at the spectacular vista. Hunter captures the moment by taking videos for her social media page and using a drone to survey the surrounding landscape. She then decides to snap daring photos of them hanging over the edge and persuades a reluctant Becky to join her. Seizing the opportunity, Becky also scatters Dan's ashes from the top, a gesture that deeply touches Hunter. As the girls decide to begin their descent, Becky takes the lead and reaches the section of the ladder where two bolts have fallen off. Suddenly, the ladder breaks loose, causing Becky to drop her bag containing the drone and their water onto a satellite dish below. Hunter quickly manages to pull Becky back up using her safety harness, but the ladder for climbing back down is now completely destroyed. In the process, Becky sustains a large cut on her leg, which Hunter addresses by creating a makeshift tourniquet. Inside a compartment on the tower, they discover a pair of binoculars and a flare gun, but they decide to wait and use them only when necessary. Unfortunately, they find that their cell phones have no signal up on the tower to call for help. They hope that the loud crash of the ladder might have attracted attention, but after 5 long hours, no help has arrived. Using the binoculars, they spot a trailer parked nearby, close to the gate. In an attempt to send a message for help, Hunter tries to lower her phone into a reception area. She lowers it as far as it can go, but to no avail. They devise a plan to drop the phone, cushioning it with Hunter's shoe and padding it with their socks and Hunter's sports bra to prevent it from breaking upon impact. Unfortunately, their plan fails, and the phone shatters when it hits the ground. Later, a man from the trailer walks his dog near the tower, and the dog discovers Hunter's shoe and the broken phone. Desperate to get his attention, the girls throw Becky's shoes, but their efforts go unnoticed. They watch as the man joins his friend to grill food and decide to wait until nightfall to attract attention using the flare gun. Once the sun sets, they fire the flare and use the light from Becky's phone to draw attention to themselves. However, instead of helping the girls, the two men spot Hunter's car and drive their trailer over to steal it. Weakened from dehydration and hunger, the girls struggle to hold on. Overnight, Becky watches a video from her and Dan's wedding and notices Hunter looking unhappy in the background. She also observes a tattoo on Hunter's foot that reads 143, which was Dan's unique way of expressing "I love you" to Becky. Hunter finally confesses that she and Dan had a 4-month-long affair after getting drunk one night, with Dan initiating the relationship. Hunter explains that she broke it off because, despite falling in love with Dan, she loved Becky even more. The next morning, 24 hours since they dropped Hunter's phone, they acknowledge the phone's destruction. In a desperate attempt to retrieve their supplies, Hunter suggests climbing down to the satellite dish to recover their bag. Using the safety harness, she lowers herself and manages to leap onto the satellite. After taking a much-needed drink of water, Hunter employs her selfie stick to hook the bag onto the harness and then uses it to help herself climb back up. While climbing, she slips but manages to land on the bag, although her hands suffer from rope burn. Becky musters her strength to pull her friend back up to safety. The girls decide to write a message and attach it to the drone, hoping to send it back to the motel. Unfortunately, the battery is low, so they guide it back before it drops. Becky remembers Hunter's clever charging method and climbs to the top of the tower to connect the drone to the light socket. When the plug doesn't reach, Becky uses her wedding ring to help conduct the electricity. As Becky holds on for hours, a vulture approaches her, drawn by the scent of her leg injury. She manages to charge the drone fully and sends it off. Just as the drone nears the motel, a truck accidentally collides with it, and the driver remains unaware. Becky's condition worsens from dehydration and hunger. She asks Hunter for her shoe so she can use her phone to call for help. It is then revealed that the Hunter she had been speaking with for the past few hours is a figment of her imagination. Hunter never landed on the bag and encountered a tragic accident while trying to climb the satellite. Becky had only retrieved the bag and imagined Hunter to avoid facing the truth of her solitude. By the next morning, the vulture discovers Becky sleeping and attempts to bother her injured leg. In self-defense, Becky grabs the vulture and manages to neutralize it before she starts to eat it. Realizing she has one last chance to survive, she sends a message to James, apologizing for her previous behavior when he was merely looking out for her. She climbs down to the satellite, removes Hunter's shoe to place her phone inside, and gently puts the shoe in Hunter's lap, as a vulture had already discovered her. Becky moves Hunter's body away from the satellite to ensure the message sends. Later, James is seen driving towards the tower where he finds a team of authorities at the scene. He watches them attending to Hunter's body, initially fearing it's Becky, but soon learns that Becky has already been rescued and brought down safely. Becky and James reunite in a heartfelt embrace, and they reconcile,